so exciting. I'm very excited. As I said before, I'm very intrigued by you. Very excited to have you here on the WongaPod today.
Thank you. I'm excited. A little nervous. My first podcast ever.
We just our chats.
Okay.
Don't take it too seriously.
Okay.
Just, just pretend it's just like me, you, and Jordan at Chilitos.
That I can do.
Chatting.
Yeah. I really enjoy our meetings. For that reason. Yeah, they're fun.
Same. I do love our meetings. So for everybody who does not know, Chris is the CEO, co-owner of Chilitos JaMexican. One of my clients.
Full disclosure.
So there will be bias in here. But yeah, so I can go into detail now about why I'm fascinated by you.
Yeah, okay. I also am interested to hear this.
So when I would have first gotten the opportunity through Chelsea and Natalie to come to join the Chilitos team, obviously it was very like, oh, Chris is the owner. Like, it felt very like, I don't know, in my mind, you were just like this businessman. And I don't know why I had that thought, but I guess in my mind it was like, Natalie's the creative one, Russell is creative, and then Chris is like the businessman. And then Craig is the numbers man. Okay. Like that was my hierarchy of you guys. And then I felt like the more that I got to know you, first of all, I didn't even realize that you were the one who was like formulating the menu and like all of the specials, like that's kind of you. And then till one day to me say I work on some documentary about bamboo. And
listen, don't get me started on that because that will be this whole podcast.
I was like, this is an interesting man.
Yeah.
And so that is really and truly why I wanted to have you as a guest, because I just felt like the lore is deep and we can talk about a lot. And also exciting things are on the horizon for Chilitos.
They are, yeah.
There is bias here. But yeah, I just thought it was a perfect time.
Well, yeah, I mean, I feel quite excited. As you said, the timing is great. There's lots of stuff that's top of mind for me, both Chilitos related and also just like what's happening in Jamaica right now. And so I'm really excited to have like an outlet to talk about.
Yay! Okay, all right. Well, let's get into it. Okay. So I first want to ask you, what is the Chilitos origin story? How, I will say I was reading a brand kit the other day for us, and I realized that next year will be our 20th anniversary.
20 years of Chilitos.
That is...
Can you believe it?
No, I can't believe it. That's crazy.
I literally remind myself of it often because I forget.
Yeah.
Like, it's huge.
Yeah. And so, yeah, just talk to the people. Tell them how the story of Chilitos. Because I feel like a lot of people still don't know about Chilitos. But a lot of people would have only known about Chilitos when Chilitos moved to 88 Hope Road.
And when they get big.
No, say Chilitos, long time thing that. So talk to us about how that all started.
Yeah, I mean, so I can start at the beginning, but it's also the new location, which I still call it that, which is, it's not so new anymore. It's 10 years old. It's 11 years old, actually. But I still call it the new location.
Yeah.
Because like the old location, the original location was where I started and where it started. Actually, fun fact, that's not true. After 20 years, you kind of forget things. Or after 19 years, you forget things. But there was a Chilitos further up on Hope Road.
Really?
Right across from JC. And that was OG Chilitos. I'm talking from 1999.
I didn't even know that.
It was a completely different concept, though.
Oh. Same original owners?
Yeah, so I think this will be a little jump off point because so the original owners were the original JaMexicans. So it was a Mexican mom, a Jamaican dad. They met at a football match in Mexico City and then fell in love and then came here and raised their family.
Romantic.
The original JaMexicans. And so the original restaurant was the mom's idea and passion project. Okay. It was way more like formal dining, way more like traditional Mexican.
Where was this?
Not JaMexican, really.
Like where? Because right across from JC would have been...
There's like either a car wash or a car dealership there now. It's right beside the KFC.
Yeah. Okay.
That's where it was. And so that was 99, and I think it lasted from like 99 to 2001. I could be wrong with that. And then they closed it down and then they migrated. And this version of Chilitos came from a desire for the siblings, the children of the mom, obviously, to come back home and to do something. And so they're just like, we want to do a version of that feels more like us. So not Mexican, but JaMexican, because that's who they literally were. Yeah, and so that's how it started in 2007. And I mean, another layer of that is then I started working there in 2007 as a servo.
Oh, you were working there from the get-go?
From
I didn't know that. You see, the Lord deep.
From 2007. I thought it was so cool. I saw this like flyer. Craig, now my business partner, then one of my best friends, was working at a movie store back when you could rent DVDs.
Yes.
What was it? It was Box Office.
Yeah.
In Southdale Plaza.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Craig worked there.
Regular.
Yeah. And then I went in and I saw this flyer and it said Chilitos JaMexican food, and I was like, "What the hell? What the hell is that? This is the coolest thing ever." It was on some colored paper.
Yeah.
I had cracked fonts, which I then was like iconic for our brand.
Right.
And then I was just like, "This is so cool," and I went and I checked it out, and then I saw a Help Wanted sign, and I was like, "Okay, I'll work there." I originally was supposed to get a summer job at Dr. Meek's across the road. At that point, it was like a big job.
Yeah.
I was going to get $10,000 a week. And I was like, big money. That's, you know, big money. And I was like, all right, that's going to come in like a month. So let me do something in the meantime.
Right.
And I went and I worked there thinking I was going to only be there for a month. And 20 years later...
That's crazy.
Here I am. So yeah, Chilitos was started by this JaMexican lineage, the original JaMexicans, and then it became a place for myself and my friends. And I think so between the original owners and then the vibe that was kind of curated there was the origin of, well, the food, but also the brand and the culture that then formed.
Right. So, okay, so then talk to us about what, like that transition era, like what you started out as a server. How are you now co-owner?
Boy, let's see. I also have to remind myself of this story. I mean, I'm 38, really. So Chilitos has been in my life longer than it has, it's not really.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's like there's a lot to remember. So those first couple years, I was it's the kind of thing where like you work in there. I'm also going to college at that point.
You're at UE?
UTech. I did construction project management, and so it became like this. What is that? Yeah, also something that I fell into.
Okay.
Like I actually had no desire or plans of going into food or like being in restaurants, even though food has always been a part of my life.
Right.
I actually had an experience recently where a classmate of mine reminded me of something I said in first form. I went to Campion, and so we had to go up and down in the classroom saying what we wanted to be when we grew up, and everybody stood up and said, "Doctor, lawyer, engineer," and I stood up and said, "I want to be a chef and have my own restaurant." And everybody laughed.
And that sound of manifestation.
Because
you didn't even know you were manifesting it at the time.
I didn't.
But
I didn't.
Here you are.
And then I mean, this was not an intentional thing. I didn't plan for it. I didn't study for it. And then, just felt always a draw to it.
Yeah.
But as for that transitional period, so like there was, I would say, like, let's say the first 2-3 years, it was just us hanging out,
it was very much like, this is our job.
It was a job, but it was more like, it was that quintessential like college job.
Right.
Where like your friends would come and hang out and then they would stay after hours and, shenanigans and carelessness. And
yeah.
But more than that, it was also like a place where it was a very safe space for you to be like counterculture and expressive, a lot of creative, like concentration of creative energy there. And it was like, you heard music you wouldn't hear other places.
Right.
You'd see art you wouldn't see other places.
Right.
And you'd have conversations that you wouldn't have outside. And it felt like it was an incubator for culture, I think, at that point. It was very small. Yeah, we had like 10 parking spaces.
Yeah, I remember
we had
that.
Plastic tables outside.
It was like, during that time, because I would have gone when I was in high school at Campion. Like, I literally just leave. I mean, I dedicated to Chilitos and we just drive down the road and go.
I probably served you.
You probably did, honestly. But I feel like for me, it wasn't a place to go and dine. I mean, I know dining was available, but it never felt like... It felt like a to-go thing, which is so funny. But it is more to go than what 88 Hope Road is now.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it's interesting that we can kind of track those threads into like the core of the business now.
Yeah.
Those different models, which we'll talk about. You know, and like what we've like identified about the business.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was like the first, 3 to 4 years. There was a period as well where Chilitos went to Mobe.
Yes. So the people are always harassing us on social media to bring it back to Mobe.
Yeah.
And I was like, obviously in the early days, I didn't know about that. So I was like, why are these people, are these people confusing us with other people?
Yeah, no.
And then you told me that we were in Mobe. How did we end up there?
So there was 3 owners at the time. It was Julio, Nadia, and Lorraine Carby, who also, fun fact, I'm like distantly related from. I know, just another tie-in.
More manifestation.
Yeah, right. And so Nadia was moving to Mobe, and they were just like, this is an opportunity for us to do it there. And they was there for 2 years.
Wow.
And then eventually the siblings, one by one, decided they wanted out and they wanted to migrate. And it was just Lorraine left, and she decided that she wanted to actually go to Mexico, where she is still now to this day.
Oh, wow.
And so she was like, listen, would you be interested in taking this over? And I was like, absolutely not. I was like, absolutely.
I think that's a big undertaking.
I was like, absolutely not. I was 26, I think, at the time. Yeah. And I mean, I had no money, and I didn't think I had any of the resources that the business would have needed for me to
do this.
Right. Yeah. And also the business at that point was like, it was smaller, yes, but also it felt like it was in a state of, I wouldn't say decline, but we had a lot of problems to solve at that point, and the business needed some TLC, and I was just like, whatever this need, like, I don't have it to give it. And I was very reluctant about it. And it was Craig at the time that was like, yo, this is a great opportunity and we shouldn't pass it up. And then I got more advice, and people just like, yo, just give it a try. And Lorraine's just like, yo, just try it. Honestly, I have nothing to lose. And I remember like thinking to myself, if we could just keep it open for another year or 2, I would consider that a success.
Right.
At least another like 2 summers of people interacting with it, and like people coming of age and like be there and have like memories. Yeah. And I was like, all right, cool. So we took it over April Fool's Day, 2015.
That's funny.
I'll never forget that. And I had several panic attacks for that first few months. And the philosophy that Craig and I had at that point was just try and suck a little bit less than the day before. And
1% better every day.
Yeah. And it worked.
Yeah.
After the first like 3 months, we started doing much better. And we started hitting a bit of a groove.
Well, before you go on, like, what do you think changed in that period to make it feel better for you?
I think it was just the level of engagement that we had. Like businesses, everything goes through cycles. And at that point, what the business needed more than anything else, more than money, more than resources, was just care and intention and time.
Right.
And that's what we gave it at a time. Like it was 7 a.m. until 11 p.m. like every day for the both of us. Like I'd be at the register, Craig would be on the line.
Wow.
We'd be doing the landscaping, mopping the floors, just like we're young and we have lots of energy.
Yeah.
And, so we really committed to it, and we hit a groove. And I remember thinking that in terms of strategy, for how to grow sales was like, we have a lot of disenfranchised customers. Yeah. People that want us to like be good so that they can come back. Right. And that was our target. It wasn't trying to get new customers. It was just trying to be like, let's just try and reestablish trust with the customers that we already have. Right. And so that was kind of the strategy. Eventually started hearing things like, hey, you hear Chilitos is good again? And
that's so crazy.
Yeah, and then it started, we started picking up traction at that point. And then 3 months into that,
yes, I know this,
we get served with a big fat eviction notice.
Yeah. Yeah. I know people still miss that original location to this day. Yeah. Something about it just felt a little iconic. I don't know what it was.
It was charming. Functionally, maybe not the best. Yeah. Like hard to keep a restaurant with like board floors.
You know what I find interesting though? I do think so. I mean, if you didn't know, you didn't know. But how Chilitos was at the old location felt very like Chipotle-ish. Yeah. And so I find it funny that I feel like that kind of thing has, because I mean, like, you see, like, Pink Apron, who has kind of adopted that now.
Yeah.
Obviously, Chipotle would have blown up that kind of thing, but like back then I didn't know about Chipotle. I just knew, this was kind of like the Chilitos model, and then you guys went away from that.
Yeah.
Do you regret that decision, or are you like, have you ever thought about that?
Yeah, I think it was a necessary step for us. I think we've learned a lot about what the market wants and also what we're able to provide. I think it's great. Like, Chipotle works in the States for sure. And I'm not saying a model like that doesn't work. Like, I think it works for lots of businesses here, like you said, Pink Apron. But also doing things in Jamaica require its own unique way of doing things. And I think we've learned a lot of data on how to serve. Like, a model like that gives a cap on how much people you can serve. And I think we've amassed a lot, as I said, of data on like what people want and what people don't want.
Yeah.
And so the model that I wouldn't remove it from like an option in the future, but for right now, I think we found a system that works without it.
Right. All right, so we're back to eviction.
Yeah,
we're evicted.
Yeah, that was kind of like what the
hell?
Yeah, it was. At the time, obviously, it was very disheartening.
No, I remember being heartbroken.
Yeah,
and it's almost like, because obviously as a outsider, you don't know the story. You don't know that you were evicted. So it's just like, why Chilitos moving? Like, why they would have did that? Yeah. And of course, there was this, I mean, I think it's coincidental, but naturally there's a conversation of, why Chilitos moving? Can I get new owner? Don't. And then it almost villainizes you in a way.
Like we're uprooting this thing, like throwing away the past.
Yeah.
I actually never thought of it that way. I mean, I was too busy trying to problem solve.
As a vexed person, I was like huffing and, not that I was actually, it was parring, but I was just huffing and puffing.
Well, I mean, that also kind of ties into one of my favorite things about the brand, which is like everybody feels like a strong sense of ownership over the brand, which is at times challenging to navigate, but it's also like a really good thing. But yeah, it was definitely like wow, what are we going to do now? And then, because my intention before that was, I just want to keep this thing open for like a year or two, and then it was like, all right, so what do we do now? Do we double down? Do we try and find another location, or do we run it until we have to close down here and then call it quits? Yeah. And so it was, I mean, honestly, I'm trying to remember if there was an exact moment of like, aha, but I remember thinking that Craig and I spoke about it at length, and we're like, we're not done. We feel like we have something here, and we really want to see where we can take it. Yeah, because you very easily could have just been like, this is a sign. I mean, I was already reluctant. Yeah. And they're just like, yo, you have to leave, and if you want to continue, build a whole new place from scratch. Yeah. That was a little rough. What are also the odds that you find a restaurant literally up the road? Well, we didn't find a restaurant. We found a parking lot. You found a lot. We found a parking lot. And this was a different time in Jamaica when, I mean, I can say this, I don't think, and I don't mean this to be like, to dishearten anybody who's like trying to build something now, but I think it was a little bit easier at that point in like 2015. It wasn't easy, as I'll get into, but it was just a different time with, I think, property and access to property. Yeah. And so this lot became available maybe through the tax evasion of a company. Let's just say that somebody was on it and they had to leave, and so the lot became available, and then so we went and we put in a bid for it, and I was really hopeful that we're going to get it. Then I heard that like at that point, like big people like banks were after it, major car dealerships were after it. And so we, through our realtor, asked the landladies if they could have lunch with us. And we invited them to Old Chilitos. Look at that. I know, and we met with them. Food bringing people together. Me and Craig, we set out a whole smorgasbord of tacos and burritos. And for some reason, they said, okay. Wow. And they gave it to us. And so it was kind of like, the dog that chased the car, and then you catch the car. Yeah. And you're like, well, what now? Yeah. And then we realized that we had to build a whole restaurant from scratch. And as I said earlier, we had no money. Zero money. Yeah. And so honestly, I'm trying to remember what we did first. I think I went up there onto the lot and I started walking. One of my feet is exactly a foot. Really? Yeah. I didn't have a tape measure, so I just walked through and measured out like the footprint for the building, and then started drawing it up on a napkin. And then I went to an architect friend of mine, and I was like, hey, can you draw this up for me? Oh, that's so cool. Yeah. And what a story. Yeah. And then, I mean, that part is like I don't know how deep we want to go in, but that was an incredibly long, incredibly challenging, incredibly transformative for me personally and for the business period. Like I sold my car, my mom took out our pension, like, and we somehow amassed like at that point like not a, I mean in today's money not a lot of money, but to me back then it was a lot of money.
Yeah.
And we're just like, all right, let's start building, and so we started building, and then maybe like 3 months in, got slapped with a cease and desist.
No, I feel like this story doesn't end.
No, as I said, I'm like, I don't know how deep you want to get into this part of the story.
Oh my gosh.
But let's just say there was a lot of hurdles
Yeah.
To get it. And eventually we came through. And so we had to pause construction for almost a year after starting. And so we're managing the existing restaurant. So we got an extension on the eviction notice.
Okay.
I think of like 9 months.
Okay.
And then we slowly started building this one. And I'd already sold my car, so I'd like walk from the new one
to the old one. Oh my gosh.
You know, and like go get enough money to go up to Super Value to buy a couple nails and sheets of zinc, you know, for the day.
This is really like bare bones. Like we're just in it for the sake of being in it.
The tiles on the floor were like built by us on site.
Wow.
You know, like the
a labor of love.
Yeah, and so many aspects of like the design of it. Like I would say the ethos of the design came from like the feel of the brand at the old location and trying to like codify that into like a physical structure.
Yeah.
And so like while the old building was great and we loved it, like I think this new this version of it is the version of the brand that was formed there.
Right.
And like pulled out of the ether and into a building.
Yeah.
And also the fact that we were broke and we could only afford zinc.
Well, everything worked out. Because I really feel like the zinc look matches the brand.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's
the zinc and wood, you know.
And I think that's still it's a part of the story that I love and I'm actually very proud of at this point because it really feels like a homegrown brand. It came out of opportunity and adversity, and I mean, I think that's the best stories. Yeah, yeah.
Before we move on, we're gonna throw to a quick ad break. We're going to collect some money to feed the crew at Chilitos. Okay.
Okay.
I was sitting.
Watch where y'all gonna.
You were going 90.
We gon' get it, now go work or hit. Yes I said it, what I do is grit. Watch me do this, power activate. Feed the fans them. Tell me, are you ready? Tell me, are you ready? Tell me.
All right, so I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
I know, and I've seen, as somebody who, I'm not gonna lie, I've curated my Instagram and TikTok feed to be very, like, it's very intentional. I feel like I get a lot of food content. If you look at my Instagram right now, you'd think I'm on the brink of opening a restaurant. I am not. But I know that, like, a common thing that people say, especially, like, people in the food and beverage industry, is that, like, opening a restaurant is, like, the biggest mistake. Like, it's just so much time and effort and money for very little return. I even have one of my cousins who, big up yourself, Jordan, he went to Johnson and Wales and is a chef. He's kind of more on the back end of things now. But I remember before he graduated from Johnson and Wales, his goal, his dream was to own a restaurant. And then by the time he was done, you did all the internships and stuff in the summer, he was like, I'm never doing that. It's just way too much. It's just too much for so little returns. And so I hear that a lot. Of course, despite hearing that people still open restaurants, and the celebrities who say those things are still opening restaurants. So clearly, it's not a terrible venture, but I do know that it is very hard. I know it's true that it is very hard. How do you feel about that? What is your take on that?
I mean, I think there is truth to it. However, I mean, I think I think it's always going to be somewhere in the middle. So restaurants are incredibly hard. The restaurant industry is sometimes feels like it's wedged between like two really difficult places. So like we can't pass on the shocks that we receive from like fluctuating prices to our customers in the way that like, you know, a supplier can or a supermarket can. You know, things rise.
Somebody literally tweeted at us the other day why we don't have guacamole, and I was like,
well,
not in season.
Until I can enter into a contractual relationship with the trees, like guac will be seasonal.
Chris becomes the Lorax.
but also, I mean, just a segue from your original question, but like also like I like that about our brand, and also about like Jamaican culture and Jamaican food. Like we are seasonal,
right?
You know, and I think that in a world where we're moving towards convenience and accessibility for all things at all times,
the idea of instant gratification is just
it doesn't work. And I don't want us as Jamaicans to lose sight of that. We don't have winter and summer and spring in the way that the first world does, or temperate climates, I should say, do. But we have mango and guinep and pui, and that's how we should live our lives. You know, so guacamole should only be available when the trees produce pears. You know, like that's, I think, and that's like a part of our culinary brand guidelines at this point.
Yes.
And that's something I believe. So no, we don't have guac because the trees don't have pears. You know,
Chris speaks for the trees. Let it be known.
Yeah. I mean, it's we. I think we need to keep focus on the seasonality.
I really like that.
Yeah, no, I think it's you live with the seasons, you feel better.
You feel better.
You eat healthier.
Live with the earth. Isn't that the goal?
We're not removed from it.
Yeah.
You know, we are of it. But to go back to the restaurants being hard. Restaurants are hard. So we're kind of wedged between two things. We're wedged between market volatility and the things that happen, and also the market itself. You know, like it's the market demands certain things. And the thing about food service, you know, it's one of those industries that you really only really get the nuances of if you're in it.
Yes.
You know, it's like,
as someone who wasn't in it and I am now in it, I feel like I certainly have a brand new appreciation for things.
And it's not to excuse, you know, mistakes that we make. I mean, it's obviously we do and we learn, and some mistakes we have repeated, and you know, we do try and always improve. However, there are nuances to it that are just unique to the industry, and like certain industries are like that. Like I think film and television production also like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like if you're looking as an outside observer, you'd be like, yo,
it's so far removed when you're on the outside.
Yeah, and they're just like, yo, why don't people stress out so much? Why they're taking this so serious?
Yeah, you know what's so funny? So my mom also has that experience because like my mom also works she works for a restaurant in Atlanta. And I would say before it was, you know, when you go to a restaurant and let's say the restaurant closes at 10 o'clock, you're hungry, you reach at 9:45.
Yeah.
You can't understand why they're open at 9:45. They should be able to serve me. And then you go and get vexed when everybody face screw, everybody's moving slow. You're maybe not getting the best customer service. And when you're removed from it, you think that why them giving me so much attitude? They should be grateful for my business. And then when you're actually in it, it's like, I just worked a crazy shift. It is 9:45. I am getting ready to pack up and go about my business. And it's hard then when to know you're in the mode of packing up because nobody in the restaurant, and then somebody walks through the door 15 minutes before. Now you have to put back on the face that you took off to go and serve them.
Yeah.
And like, it's little things like that I've grown an appreciation for. Like if I walk in somewhere 10 minutes to closing, I know I'm gonna get a stink attitude. I know, expect it. Because I know more now, so I'm able to sympathize, I guess.
Yeah, I think both are true. I think at the end of the day, the customers and people in food service, like we're all humans.
Yeah.
And we're all subject
That's what
to
it is. It's humanity.
We're all subject to, you know, the variability of it, but also like being in this industry, like that's the price of admission. That's our job. That's our job, you know. And so I think understanding that as our reality, and then also, you know, understanding that like people are coming to us because they're hungry. Yeah. Maybe people aren't their best selves when they're hungry.
That's true.
And so like that's also just a reality of it.
That's true.
And so I think it's unique in the challenges that it presents, the industry, because of the positioning we are in society. But there's a reason why restaurants are everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, like, and most malls are covered in restaurants. So restaurants can be successful and restaurants are successful. I don't have the stat of like what the restaurant industry is globally, but it is one of the most like consequential industries in the world.
Always need to eat. People always need to
and
eat.
you know what you can't digitize? Food. You can't. You know, like it's
I can't feed you.
Can't feed you. You know, and so I think restaurants are harder if you don't understand the full spectrum of the context in which a restaurant exists.
Right.
If you have a passion and you have an idea, that's essential, absolutely. But you also have to understand where the market is, what the market wants. Also, you can't be too reliant on what the market wants because, like, humans are humans, and like the market at the end of the day will love fried chicken and sugar.
Yeah.
You know, like I just like, do you? I personally don't want to be in a business that only serves fried chicken and sugar.
Yeah.
You know, like, but at the same time, like, it sells.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think I look at a part of or the Chilitos brand value is that like we need to be more than that. So we need to toe the line between you know, like things that are relevant to our brand and things that will sell.
Yeah.
And so I think towing that line is a part of the struggle with us, but for us it's an important part.
Yeah. And so in that same vein, as I would have said earlier, like I did not realize that you were not in the kitchen as a chef, but you're in a way you're kind of like the executive chef over there. Like you're building the menu in a way.
Yeah.
Like in a French kitchen, you would be the exec chef.
Well, I never thought about that, but yeah.
Yeah, because they're not cooking. They kind of just make the recipes and tell everybody how to do things, you know. And so when you're thinking of new things, especially because like, you know, our model is that we do try to offer new things very relatively frequently. I mean, we have like Valentine's Day stuff. We have summer stuff. Yeah, very seasonal. Yeah. But I can imagine that is a lot of additional effort.
Yeah.
How do you navigate that?
Well, I mean, that's, to be honest, that's my favorite part of it. Yeah. And so I think if my job was...
By the way, from a branding perspective or marketing team, we also love that part of it as well. So I'm not bashing it. I'm really, I'm just curious.
It is my favorite part. And if that was my job alone, I really enjoy it, and I enjoy it how I do it. But I mean, if that could be the only thing I did, I think I would really, really enjoy it more.
Yeah.
You know? But I manage it because like I think that's just a natural part of who I am. So therefore, it feels like a need that's being met for me to do that. Right. So it doesn't feel difficult, and I can tell like if I'm really burnt out or feel really disconnected from myself, that's when it feels hard to do. But if I'm not and I manage myself right, then it's really easy and it's fun and I enjoy it. You know, like I still maintain strong ties to Mexico. Like I have an aunt that's lived there for like 30 years. I've been visiting Mexico since I was 14, you know, and like I'm still close to the original JaMexicans.
Yeah.
You know, and we're in contact all the time. I visit them. And so that's the way of kind of just like refreshing creative energy. And then obviously not obviously, but I feel very deeply connected to Jamaican food and Jamaican culture. Yeah. So for me, this product feels, I wouldn't say easy, but it's a natural interpretation of my creative inputs.
Yeah. Feels innate almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously we talk a lot about JaMexican. And I find, well, obviously that's a term that is not like, in a way we kind of like pioneered. Yeah, well, I know it's fuck it. But we pioneered that term. JaMexican belongs to Chilitos.
Yes.
And I do feel like, you know, what led to that decision to kind of claim ownership of this thing, and to kind of run with it, just like because I feel like JaMexican it's like its own thing.
Yeah, you know? I mean, so it was the original owners that trademarked it actually. Okay. But I would say in terms of like really pushing the value of it, we have 5 directors in it, but or former brand manager Natalie Nash. I mean, iconic with just the vision and seeing the value of the brand. You know, like brand Jamaica, incredibly strong, and I think you could speak for 10 podcasts on it and still not quite figure it out. Yes. But we know the lore of Jamaica. It's a creative powerhouse. Like we punch way above our weight class. Like I think per capita, like have the most creative output of any country in the world. And then a country like Mexico, also hugely in terms of its like iconic cultural outputs.
Yeah.
And like it's very strong cultural identity. So Jamexican is an amalgamation of both of those things. So
Right.
it is incredibly iconic.
Yeah.
You know, and so like our interpretation of it is iconic, even though it's like it's through an interpretation of like, you know, casual dining and like kind of like Tex-Mexy kind of food, but like it's through that angle. It's two incredibly powerful inputs that produces something unique all in of itself.
Yeah.
And so I think Natalie was able to really see the power of that brand.
Yeah.
And then like put it in there and like make it into something like just really, really, really beautiful.
Really cool.
Yeah.
What I find so interesting too, again, it comes back to like, if you don't know, you just wouldn't know. So obviously I feel like a lot of people in Jamaica just think of, when I think of Mexican food, they're just like taco burrito. And it wasn't, well, now being in it, but also the other day when I was talking to that woman that came by from Mexico.
Oh, yeah. Susanna.
No, not Susanna, the other one.
Oh, okay.
The one that came earlier.
Oh, yeah.
But
okay, yeah.
so they're both from Mexico.
Right.
And so I was talking to her because she's been in Mexico for like 2 years now. I mean, she's been in Jamaica for 2 years now. And so I was asking her, you know, like, what does she think about the cuisine here? I mean, I know that when we were there, you were very... you made it a point to say, this isn't Mexican food, this is JaMexican food, which I think is very important to say, but I don't think you have to contextualize it. But it's so interesting because after you left, like I asked her, I was like, what do you think is, I'd love to know from a Mexican perspective, what do you think is the difference here? And she says whenever she comes there, she always has the whole bowl. That's her favorite thing. But it took her a long time to get used to the plantain.
Oh, yeah.
Which I thought was so funny because the amount of DMs we get when we leave off planting because planting, we can't find a planting.
Post-hurricane.
The way how the Jamaicans lament when there's no planting. And yet here she was like, yeah, I'm just not used to that sweetness. Like I would never, we don't do that in, because where she's from, I think she's from Chihuahua.
Yeah.
And she was like,
north, right?
Yeah, she was like, we just don't have that flavor at all. And so I thought it was so interesting.
It is interesting, the differences between, or just, even though the brands are powerful, they're quite divergent when they come to food.
Yeah.
And I mean,
especially like the specifics of the food.
Yeah. So like this is a anecdotal and personal philosophy, but when it comes to like just global cuisines, I think I like to look at them as philosophies, I guess. And so I think Mexican and Jamaican would be like almost opposite. So Mexican cuisine, it's like, it's the final bite and the interpretation of the food is determined by the eater. So the meat is not highly seasoned, the tortillas aren't highly seasoned, the salsas are unique but separate, and then you build it yourself.
Together.
So the ultimate responsibility of curating the bite
is on the consumer.
Jamaican food, the opposite. It's the cook. The cook alchemizes fresh ingredients and creates and develops these incredibly deep and complex flavors. But the ultimate bite is determined by the cook, not the eater. Right. And so, like...
That's so interesting. Right. And that's so true. I mean, I've been to Mexico and I definitely did see that. Like, even like everything was separate. Even the beans, like rice and beans, you basically control the amount of beans you want in your rice because the beans come separately.
Yeah. And so, combining them is sometimes challenging for that waste because it can be too much or it can be too little. Yeah. Sidebar, I think this is why universally Indian food is like a world favorite because it combines both of them. So it's these highly developed and rich and like their development of spices and stews like unmatched. Right. But then it's bespoke, like you can build your bites, you know, with chutneys and textures and things like that. Yes. Which is like why I think it's
interesting.
That's my hot take.
Chris he's a philosopher. He's a Lorax and a philosopher.
I think cuisines are philosophers. I think it's a
I agree.
It's a culture's people groups' interpretation of survival. You know, like ultimately, cooking is a survival strategy.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's the whole kind of point of this podcast is that food is more than just food.
I mean, it's everything.
It's everything. Like, it is everything.
It's literally my favorite part about being a human.
Yeah.
You know?
And, funny enough, so bringing it back to, food is everything, I think is a good segue. When you said, in order to kind of secure 88 Hope Road, you took the landlord or landladies, to lunch. And I find that so interesting because I do think, as someone who, is contributing to now building brand Chilitos as well, I think community is at the core of our brand. And I just think it's so interesting to see it like that. Like, it really started with community. And, sometimes I just feel like people be like, oh, like, why Chilitos can't give me like an AC? Why Chilitos can't do this? Why Chilitos can't do da? And I don't think a lot of people appreciate just like the rawness of it. Like, it is intentional in a way. Like, the seats are bench style because it is family style. We want people to commune. We want people to come, and we want the music to be bumping so that you have a positive memory with the food. We want the drinks to be flowing. That's why we do like picture style things, because it's like so many, the Natural Supreme, communal, platters, communal. Like, there's so many opportunities at Chilitos to have a, it's just community forward to me. And I think that's very intentional. And I really love what you guys did with that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't know how to do a restaurant any other way. So I'd love to say that, it was like strategic, but it was just like, that's the only way that I would know how to do it.
Yeah.
And so this restaurant that exists now, as I said, feels like the codification of like the brand that was building at, the old place.
Yeah. Which was very community centered as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And so like in fact, those long tables, like I wanted it to be longer.
Yeah.
I wanted those two tables to be joined.
No, because when
like one long table.
When we hosted those Mexican musicians the other day, that they immediately came and just pushed all the tables together. I was like,
I love that.
Yes.
I love that. It's I love the connections that are formed there. I love the relationships that are built there.
Yeah.
Like I would say this was the original vision for the space to be that space. And I'm incredibly grateful that we still get to do that. But obviously, we're a restaurant. We need to meet the market and we need to provide certain things. But like, I would say fundamentally, that's my favorite part about it.
Yeah. Okay, so, well, time is going. But which is crazy. I feel like we haven't been here talking for that long.
Yeah.
But I guess in a way to like, I guess, round out a lot, because honestly, we could chat here. We could stay here and chat.
This was really fun.
Yeah. But I guess to round it out, like, we talked about Chilitos' origins. We talked about kind of the intention behind the menu and the community and stuff. What is your ultimate vision for Chilitos? Like, in Chris's dream world, Chris has all the money in the world to invest in Chilitos, and one day I go win the lotto and just put all of it in Chilitos. Like, what is your ideal vision for the brand?
I think understanding the parts of it, the key components that I think make us great. So I think we have the community space, and we have our brand, which I love, and I'm so happy that it is loved as well. And then we also have the food. And sometimes, it is one and the same, but I also look at it as two separate things. And so I would love a future where we can have a space that really just focuses on the brand and the community, but then also we've learned a lot of lessons in and post-COVID. Like sometimes you have people that they just want to get their food and they want to leave. And at times, like the brand and the community and kind of building that kind of energy and experience there can be divergent from like the needs of the person that just want to come in and get the food and leave. And so we have pain points with, like people not being able to access the food, or the parking lot's too full, or things like that. So I would love an experience which like people could have access to the food much quicker, which is exactly what we're doing now.
Hey.
Which is exactly what
Andale, mommy. Yeah.
So I'm super excited. Like this is something that we've been scheming and working on for a long time. And honestly, that is a whole other story in and of itself.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited that we're going to be in a position this year to give people access to the food and also give us an opportunity to develop the new restaurant. Back into like a space and really show it some love, and to build it into the space where we can build more community, make more connections, and relationships can form.
Yeah. I'm very excited. I'm so glad to be a part of this. It's very exciting. I feel like we talk about no hate to all of our other clients, but we I feel like we just invest so much time into Chilitos because I just feel like we love it.
I have a blast whenever we meet. So
Yeah,
it's really nice.
Yeah, we love it. We love. I also just love the fact that I feel like there's very little that we can suggest to you guys that you'll be like, that's bad. I don't think that has ever happened.
I mean, I think we all see the brand.
Yeah.
And it's like a disco ball. You know, it's like we're all seeing different slivers, but we're all seeing the same thing, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that all the contributions that are given, if you see that thing, are valid.
Yeah.
Right. And then what's the worst thing that happens? It doesn't work. Okay. Yeah. We move on. Yeah. You know.
I agree. And I definitely have seen that kind of flexibility with you guys. Just as a team, I feel like we're all very. A lot has happened in the past couple of years, and we've had to pivot a lot. Yeah. And I do feel like we're a ragtag team that knows how to pivot.
Yeah, but that's like especially in the climate we live in now, a fundamental life skill. Yeah. You know, like life will not stop, and it's actually only accelerating in the pace of change. And so learning to see what's true and to always regain focus to getting back there and pivoting to do so like that. That's a great skill.
For sure. Well, Chris, thank you so much.
Wow, it really done?
It really done.
Wow.
I feel like we might have to have a part 2 or something.
Oh,
because I feel like there's much more to talk about.
Yeah.
This is great. I think just thank you so much for coming here.
Thanks to you. And thanks to the entire team.
We are all looking forward to what's next for Chilitos. I can't wait for
Me too.
People to say.
Me too.
But yeah, is there anything you want to plug?
I want to big up my team. Honestly, I want to big up everyone at Chilitos. Like, you guys are awesome. Yeah.
Period. And come to Chilitos.
Yeah.
Take your family.
Chilitos. Order online.
Yeah.
Chilitos JaMexican.com is the best way to order.
It's the fastest way to get your food as well.
It's the fastest way to get
before you reach, by the time you reach,
Chilitos JaMexican.com.
Yeah.
Bookmark it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Delivery as well.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. And so that's about it, guys. Until next time, I will see you in the WongaPod.